it's your girl Faith, Imani Hicks, the creator, also known as Work Miss Miyagi Work. And you are now tuned in to my first workshop on behalf of Women for Women and the Black Writers Collective. Um, and this is, the Colors Conference, okay? So first, I want to start by acknowledging everyone's experience. I know that this workshop seems very exclusive to women, as in the title, it names the art of the art of Yoni Persuasion. However, I would like to open it up to everyone just because I think that all people can kind of learn from some of the things that I will be addressing. Um, and again, the reason why that is the title is because, for one, I will be focusing on women authors, creatives, but also because my experience is as a woman. Um, so I'm going to break down this workshop into three different sections, okay? Because we are talking about persuasion, I want to get into rhetorical appeals. And so what rhetoric is, you might have the question, well, what is rhetoric? Rhetoric, whatever way you want to say it, rhetoric, let's say rhetoric. In writing, there you may have a certain appeal or a certain angle that you want your readers to understand you. So for example, we have ethos, and that's an appeal to authority and credibility. We have pathos, that's the appeal to emotionality, okay? And then we have logos, and that's the appeal to data, stats, reports, findings, cold, hard facts, per se. So the reason why I want to talk about these things is because I want to, for one, express the importance of mentioning experiences as fact. I feel as though sometimes we don't hold our experiences as fact because a lot of different things that I'm going to get into, right? So first things first, let's get into scenarios where we may. And so if you I'm looking at y'all, but I'm also looking at my notes. And please feel free to take notes because I'm going to be spitting a lot of facts. I'm going to be in lecture mode for a little bit, but I'm also going to go and get into some readings and some visual aids that I will add to this video down below. Okay, but first let's start with ethos, potato, all right? So ethos is an appeal to authority and credibility. So for example, you may hear like a doctor, they say, as a doctor, I'm qualified to tell you that this course of treatment will likely generate the best results, right? And ideally, I can understand like how we may think that, well, he's a doctor, he's not going to tell me the wrong thing, but how come it is still the fact that we have doctors misdiagnosing Black women or misdiagnosing people's period, right? I mean, that could be a question. On the other hand of that, there's also doctors that are diagnosing patients correctly, right? But this appeal to authority and credibility, it can be limiting. Okay, so I'm going to propose a question. What is limiting when it comes to individuals and or communities trying to validate a situation based upon authority and credibility? Okay, so I'm going to repeat that. What can be limiting when we consider someone's authority and credibility for our own personal experience? What comes to mind for me again is Black women in hospitals sharing an experience, and there's the actual factuals. There's data that reports a lot of mistreatment, malpractices on behalf of Black women because doctors don't believe them when they say that they're in pain. So a lot of times their experience isn't validated because I mean, it's just not validated, okay? And so I think something that we should understand is how credentials don't necessarily make someone the best at a certain topic or practice, right? It can acknowledge the work and the learning that they put in for a topic, right? To speak and to perform a task. Yeah, it can do that. But just because someone has a certain licensing or credential, it doesn't make them like better than the next person or more valid than someone else. Because it could be the case that someone without those same credentials is actually more qualified to do the things that maybe a doctor is doing or a scientist, just because of their relentless way of going about researching a topic and having a lot of experiential, like hands-on approach to finding out the truth, as opposed to like institutions and colleges where professors or, you know, teachers are spewing out information, accredited information from verifiable sources. And so I'm going to get into that a little bit more. But the reason why I'm talking about this and in this way is because when it comes to women, when it comes to people speaking their truth about a certain experience, a lot of the times we don't validate it because it's not rooted in anything, or maybe because their positionality, because of who they are, maybe doesn't constitute like them to feel like they can speak about their experience. So the first video that I would love for y'all to get into. Okay, so before we get into that clip, I want to give a little background about Sister Souljah. I will put the citations for where I got this information down in the comments below or in the description box, wherever you're at, depending, and wherever you're viewing this. So something that I thought was interesting is she was quoted saying, "I supplemented my education in the white American school system by reading African history, which was intentionally left out of the curriculum of American students." So again, further background, Souljah was a legislative intern in the House of Representatives, also the recipient of several honors during her teenage years. She won the American Legion's Constitutional Oratory Contest, for which she received a scholarship to attend Cornell University's Advanced Summer Program. So the amazing thing about Sister Souljah is she has educational experience to ground a lot of the things that she discusses. A lot of the things that she discusses to and within the realm of academia, within the realm of even professionalism, like in politics, goes unheard, unacknowledged, and is oftentimes undervalued because it is rooted in experience. Okay? And it's interesting because there are a lot of Black women like Sister Souljah, right? That stands up for their communities and for the things that matter in terms of advocating for resources and things that people need. Sister Souljah, I'm not going to say is very unique, but she is an example of how education can help shape how we approach validating someone, communities, people's experience. And so I just wanted to kind of set that background. So like when you get into the video, and also I have an optional audio for you to check out of like the few chapters of her book. As you get into that, you can kind of see and identify those things, right? So please pause the video, take some time to delve deep into the supplemental materials that I have for y'all, and just get back with me, and I'll be here with y'all. Okay? Okay. So after viewing the video clip, I have some further background, right? Because let's get into it, right? Like she's talking and it's like, whoa, what, like who is this girl, right? Like you wanna, I feel like when I first saw that clip, like that was that wasn't my introduction into Sister Souljah. Actually, my introduction into Sister Souljah was, I remember my mom, she had a coldest winter ever. She had that book, and I always remember thinking, what is that book about? Like it's a cute cover. Like who is Sister Souljah? You know, and I just remember my mom like enjoying reading the book. You know, she always had the book with her. Um, so Sister Souljah, she graduated from Rutgers University with a dual major in American History and African Studies. In her college years, she traveled to South Africa, Zambia, Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, Finland, and Russia. Her education, and so again, validating our experiences, okay? Her education was reinforced with firsthand experience as she worked in a medical center in a village located in Zimbabwe, or located in Zimbabwe. And she also assisted refugee children from Mozambique. Okay, so for Sister Souljah to have an educational background, it gave voice. It gave voice, but it also opened her up to sit in rooms with to sit in a room with government officials, right? To understand politics, which not only helps her to vouch for her community in a sense of understanding um, community needs, but also understanding what's in between that, right? Because it's one thing to know what your community needs, but it's a whole nother thing to understand the problems when it comes to acquiring that, and when it comes to understanding why limited access to Black marginalized communities even exists, right? Because it's it's uh, it's it's a history, right? You have to know that history. But it's also within the politics. It's deeply embedded in the politics, the history of politics of a certain region. I also want to talk about theory, okay? Just a little bit about theory. I want to get into theory as practice, okay? So, ideally, theoretical concepts, is just another way of understanding how, in college classrooms and environments, in academia, right? There could be a topic that is overly analyzed. There's a lot of like questions and discussions about a specific experience or phenomena, right? What theory does is name that and holds it as a way to understand a certain thing, okay? That's as simple as I'm going to put it. So ideally what theory is like academics going on and on, arguing for or against, refuting and or supporting, constructing new ways of understanding a theory.